Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission is pretty straightforward. You bring us your sources, articles, notes, whatever you've got, and, well, we help you pull out the key stuff fast. Think of it as getting you up to speed quickly, hopefully with some surprising bits along the way. Today we're diving into the history of a place most people probably just know as Koh Kong. But the material you've shared, it suggests a much deeper connection to Thailand, a really complex past that's often overlooked. That's right. We're looking at excerpts from this historical account, Thailand's Lost Frontier, Koh Kong's history. And our job today really is to unpack the key moments, the treaties, the deals that decided where this region ended up. And right off the bat, just glancing through this, something really jumped out at me. It says this place was named a twin city to somewhere pretty well known in Thailand. What's that about? Let's start there.
Okay, yeah. So the source takes us right back to 1855. June 26th, to be exact. This was King Rama IV, King Mongkut. And the source highlights this very specific thing he did. He deliberately named two new cities, chosen because they sit on the exact same line of latitude, but on opposite sides of the Gulf of Thailand.
Who interesting, like mirror images.
Kind of, yeah. So on the west coast, Muang Nong Ram became Prachuap Khiri Khan, you know that one. And then on the east coast, the place known as Koh Kong, he formally named it Prachanta Khiri Khet. The source points out the naming, it's parallel, almost like a deliberate pairing.
Prachuap Khiri Khan and Prachanta Khiri Khet. Okay, that's really fascinating. It immediately suggests this intended link, right? A balance across the Gulf that just feels completely gone now. It's like discovering a well-known place, had a sibling nobody remembers.
Exactly. And to figure out how Prachanta Khiri Khet, our lost frontier, got separated, the source shifts gears a bit. It talks about the wider situation, the geopolitics. You've got France really pushing its colonial ambitions. They already controlled Vietnam and Cambodia, and they were pushing hard into Laos, which was under Siamese influence back then.
Right. Using military power, I assume?
Definitely. The source gives a clear example. This rebellion, the Hpea Ingam rebellion in Sipsong Chutai. Siam was actually getting ready to deal with it, but France jumped in first, saying they were helping.
The classic helping move.
Right, and the crucial part the source stresses is that France then just refused to leave.
Yeah.
Their real goal was pretty clear, grab the whole left bank of the Mekong River.
Okay, so the pressure is building. Siam's facing this powerful neighbor using, well, flimsy excuses to expand. How did this finally boil over? What was the breaking point, according to this account?
The source points squarely at July 13th, 1893. It's known as the Crisis of RS-112 in Thai history, a really pivotal date. On that day, two French warships just forced their way past the Siamese defenses, the Fraj Chulacom Clive Fort, and they sailed right up and anchored near the French consulate in Bangkok.
Wow. Right in the capital.
A very direct message. And the source adds they were quickly joined by 10 more ships from Saigon. So essentially a full naval blockade of the Gulf of Thailand.
Okay, that's serious.
And they didn't stop there. 2 weeks later, July 27th, French troops actually seized Koh Sichong, which was a key island for trade. It basically choked off Siamese commerce.
Wow, a blockade and seizing a major trade hub. That's an undeniable pressure. What did they demand after all that?
Well, then came the ultimatum. And the source paints it as incredibly tough. Siam had just 1 month to pull all its troops from the left bank of the Mekong. Plus, they had to pay 3 million francs immediately, like right now.
3 million francs.
Yep. And on top of all that, they only gave Siam 48 hours to even say yes or no to these terms.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Faced with warships in their harbor.
That's an impossible situation, basically. The source suggests Siam knew it was unjust, but militarily, they couldn't fight back effectively.
They must have tried negotiating.
They did try, but the source says it failed. France wasn't budging, so ultimately Siam had to accept. The source notes the date they signed, October 3rd, 1893.
Just forced into it.
Pretty much. But the pressure didn't actually stop there. The source highlights that even while they were sorting out the new boundaries from that treaty, France made another demand. They insisted on occupying Chantaburi province.
Occupying Chantaburi. Why?
As a guarantee, that's how they put it, a guarantee that Siam would stick to the treaty terms. France saw Chantaburi as strategically valuable.
So Siam loses territory and has another major province occupied indefinitely just as leverage. It really shows the power dynamic here. So France just stayed in Chantaburi.
They did. The source says they held it from 1893 onwards for quite a while, actually. And as the account explains, France kind of dragged its feet on leaving Chantaburi. They didn't just pack up and go. Instead, they used still being there as leverage.
Leverage for what? More demands.
Exactly. To pressure Siam into another treaty. This one was signed February 13th, 1903. And the terms here were also significant. Siam had to give up more land, specifically the right bank of the Mekong in the Luang Prabang and Champasak areas.
Or land ceded. What did they get in return this time?
Well, France offered something called relaxed extraterritorial rights. But the source is careful to point out this relaxation. It only applied to Asian subjects under French protection, not actual French citizens.
Ah, so not a huge concession then.
Not really. And crucially, the other part of the deal was that France finally agreed to return Chantaburi.
It sounds like a pattern. Siam keeps having to give up something new just to get back something that was taken earlier as a guarantee.
That's very much the picture the source paints. A cycle of disadvantageous exchanges, really.
So did France finally leave Chantaburi then?
They did eventually, but first, France used that same guarantee tactic again.
You're kidding again.
Yeah. To ensure Siam followed the 1903 treaty terms, France demanded to occupy Trat province, and also the islands stretching from Lam Sing down to Koh Kut. And the source is very specific here. This demand included Koh Kong, which, remember, was still Siam's Prachanta-Kiriket province.
So now Trat and the islands, including Prachanta-Kiriket, are occupied.
Siam agreed, again feeling they had little choice. The boundary survey for this arrangement finished up on December 9th, 1904, and then France finally pulled out of Chantaburi. That was January 12th, 1905. They'd been there over 10 years.
Over a decade. Wow. Okay, so France is now occupying Trat and Koh Kong. How did things move from occupation to, well, the final separation? Was there another factor driving France now?
This is where the account brings in something kind of unexpected. It mentions the influence of a French artist, Henri Mouhot.
An artist.
Yeah. His drawings, his illustrations of Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom had become really popular in Europe. They were captivating. And France apparently developed a real desire to, possess these ancient wonders. And the fertile land around the Siem Reap Lake, too.
So fascination with Angkor Wat played a role in redrawing borders. That's surprising.
It seems so, according to this source. So France came up with another proposal, an exchange. They offered to give Trat province back to Siam.
Okay.
In exchange for...
It's exchange for Siam's entire Barafa province. And that province critically included Battambang, Siem Reap, and Sisophon.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole Angkor region.
Right. Trading Trat for Angkor. And the source says Siam agreed to this. Why this time?
Well, the source indicates Siam's main motivation here was getting Trat back. A lot of Thai people lived in Trat province.
So a difficult choice. Trading away huge historical significance for a province where their own people lived. That seems to be the situation described. The treaty sealing this deal was signed March 23rd, 1907. Siam officially ceded Barafa province, Battambang, Siem Reap, Sisophon to France. In return, Siam got back the Dan Sai district up in Loei province, and they got back Trap province from Lam Sing to Koh Kut.
Okay, they got Trat back. But what about Koh Kong? Prachanta-Kiriket.
Ah, that's the crucial point in the source. It explicitly states Prachanta-Kiriket, or Koh Kong, was not part of the territory returned to Siam.
It wasn't included.
Nope. It remained under French control after that 1907 treaty, and from then on, it was formally made part of French Cambodia, permanently separated from Thailand.
So the Twin City became the lost frontier through all these forced deals, occupations, strategic trades, and even influenced by European interest in Angkor. That really shows how complex colonial expansion could be. What happened to the actual people living in Koh Kong after 1907?
Well, the source talks about a pretty big shift in population. A lot of the Thai residents, people who didn't want to live under French rule, apparently left. They moved away, often to places like Koh Kut, which remained Thai, or back towards Chantaburi.
And who replaced them?
Khmers from other parts of Cambodia moved into the Koh Kong area. The source gives a statistic that really drives this home. Today, it says only about 25% of the people living in Koh Kong identify as Thai.
Only a quarter. Wow. That border change really reshaped the community over time. Does the source mention any lingering connections, any echoes of that shared past?
It does mention one interesting cultural detail. It notes that the Thai people still in Koh Kong today often have an accent that's quite similar to the accent in Trat province.
Oh, a linguistic link.
Yes, a kind of audible reminder of the connection before the division. But the source also details some pretty difficult things. Active efforts to suppress the Thai identity there. It describes laws brought in around 1963. It actually became illegal to speak Thai in Koh Kong.
Illegal to speak your language.
Yes, with a fine. 25 real per word, apparently.
Per word.
That's what the source states. And possessing Thai money was forbidden. Having Thai books was illegal, too. They'd be confiscated and destroyed if found. And the fine for speaking Thai even went up to 50 real a year later, in 1964.
Banning language, destroying books. Those are serious measures to try and, well, erase a culture's connection to its roots.
Absolutely. It's quite stark. But interestingly, the source also makes a point about resilience. It mentions that despite these really harsh restrictions, the older generations there managed to preserve their traditions, and they kept using the Thai language, amongst themselves, quietly keeping that heritage going.
That's powerful. Culture finding a way to survive even under that kind of pressure. So looking back at this whole deep dive then, we followed Prachanta story from being intentionally named as a twin city.
Right, linked to Prachap Kiri Khan.
Through escalating French pressure, forced treaties, occupations used as bargaining chips.
And ultimately ending up traded away, partly driven by this European fascination with Angkor.
It became the lost frontier.
Exactly. Its original name, Prachanta Kiri, mostly just lives on in history books now. And the community there went through enormous changes dealing with that border shift and later active suppression of their Thai identity. It really highlights how these big geopolitical decisions, drawing lines on maps, have such deep, long-lasting consequences for people on the ground.
Yeah, this history of Prachanta Ket, now Koh Kong, is a stark reminder, isn't it? National borders, identities, they aren't fixed things. They get shaped by power politics, by international forces, by deals made sometimes far away from the places they affect most. It's a story told in treaties, sure, but also in, who lives where, how they speak, and what traditions they manage to keep alive.
And maybe this deep dive leaves you, the listener, with something to think about. Consider that original name, Prachanta Hiriket. It means frontier adjacent to the mountains. What does it really mean for a frontier to be lost? Not just on a map, but in terms of identity, connection. How do places like Koh Kong carry the echoes of their different names, their severed links, the stories of people who lived through those shifts? What other layers of history, what other lost frontiers might be waiting to be uncovered just beneath the surface of the world we see today?